everybody. Welcome to Impossible Coin. I'm Brian Cartwright, and I am joined by Rocky Hardy.
Yo, what up?
Tegan Somerset is currently out. We wish her the best. Please stay tuned, and we will have details about Tegan's GoFundMe soon.
Damn, she's gonna go fund me? She got her teeth taken out. Whatever, it's fine. It's not my business.
Yeah.
She needs it.
So I guess that means that we will not be talking about Tegan's removed teeth this week, and we will not be talking about Skyward Sword.
What, you haven't played your Skyward Sword?
No, I haven't.
Okay, for sure.
I feel like there's a thing that I could have done this week. I'm sorry, I feel like there's a thing that I could not have done this week and replaced with Skyward Sword, which is playing World Flipper. World Flipper is, as near as I can tell, aggressively greedy about my money.
Yeah, it's a gacha game.
And
a modern gacha game at that.
I'm sorry, a what gacha game at that?
A modern gacha game at that?
Yeah. And so, like, I downloaded this thing because
Klepek got really excited about it?
Yeah, that's it.
Got him. Free.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, you know, like, I have a lot of respect for Patrick Klepek. Let me see what's going on here. And then I download it, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm sitting there, and I throw this word firmly in around scare quotes. I'm playing it, and I'm like, gosh, what the fuck is this? So, Rocky, in World Flipper, it does not take long before World Flipper presents you an option, which says, hey there, would you just like for the things that happen during the pinball part of this to just happen automatically?
Yeah.
Do you not want to actually have to touch your screen? And I'm like, what? World Flipper? And World Flipper's like, hey, look, we understand if you don't actually want to play pinball in this pinball video game, this pinball JRPG, would you instead just like to have that happen automatically? And I'm like, well, if that happens automatically, then what am I doing? And they're like, well, that's fine. What you would be doing if we do the pinball automatically for you is you'd be advancing through dialogue in the JRPG part and doing gotcha pulls.
Yeah.
And buying more gems to do gotcha pulls with. That's what you'd be doing. And I said, hey, how about this idea? And I'm just going to, float this one, World Flipper. How about this? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, sure. A lot of people react that way.
First of all, like, the pinball in this pinball video game is, like, very, very substantially bad.
Damn rip.
Yeah. There has been good pinball on mobile before.
Sure. Be weird if there wasn't.
Like, that is not unexplored territory. In fact, something which just launched into Apple Arcade is Zen Pinball Party, which runs in Unreal Engine 4, and the way you play the game is when you're playing a table, you tap the lower left-hand corner of the screen to hit the left bumper. You tap the lower right-hand corner of the screen to hit the right bumper. And then you can either tap anywhere above the halfway point of the screen to, bump the table or tilt the table. Or you can use the phone's, gyroscope features to perform a tilt.
Okay.
And, that game faithfully recreates some very, very good pinball tables, and for the new pinball tables, which are designed for the game, they are good pinball tables. So this game, World Flipper, is all right, here's how you play World Flipper, tap the screen. And I'm like, can you provide me some more detail on that? No, it's cool. Tap the screen. I'm like, okay, I'm tapping the screen to anywhere in particular on the screen that I'm tapping. No, just tap the screen. Okay, does that activate the left bumper or the right bumper? Yes. What? What do you mean? Yes. Yeah, like no, just tapping the screen anywhere on the screen causes both flippers to move.
Okay.
And can I cause a jam by hitting the flippers too fast? No.
What? Oh, no? Okay, that's cool.
Okay. And if the ball hits the flipper while it's in the up position, because I've been hitting them like just repeatedly over and over again, then the game will just treat it like it's hitting the flipper while the flipper is in motion. It'll treat it like it's experienced momentum. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So
it's not a pinball simulator, like, honestly.
It really isn't.
Okay.
It's a tap game. It's an idle clicker. It's an idle clicker with a pinball presentation, which is just like feels lame, because if somebody wanted to pitch to me a pinball JRPG, I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think this is a thing that there would be a market for.
Okay, yeah, sure. I guess there's a market for it.
Makes me want to check out this game that came out in November of last year called Brave Pinball.
Okay.
Which is, in fact, a pinball JRPG. It looks like it didn't get any real media coverage to speak of, and the reviews definitely look mixed, but might poke around and do some additional research. But, like, what the fuck? Like, World Flipper is very much just, like, tap the screen. And it, like, so it's like the things that, like, World Flipper, it's like there's the things that World Flipper pretends to be, and then there's the things that World Flipper is. Like, World Flipper pretends to be a pinball game. World Flipper pretends to be a JRPG. It is neither of those things.
It's not a JRPG?
It is, in fact, not a JRPG.
Okay.
Like, what it is a clicker, and when it comes to, like, clickers, it's not even a good clicker. On this very podcast, like, I have, talked about a clicker. I've talked about a clicker highly. And, like, I think that there is a place for, like, idle, passive games, which are just, like, toy objects to play with your hands. And this is a bad one of those. So it's like, you're bad at the things that you're pretending to be. You're bad at the thing that you are. Like, you are literally just an excuse for people to pump hundreds of dollars into this, like, hole, which is you, the game. So that way they can be like, hooray, I've pulled a 5-star Hootsie Watsits. And I'm like, no one cares about your Hootsie Watsits.
Okay. I don't know, man. I feel like World Flipper does fine, and, like, it doesn't seem like it's suffering from, like, baby's first video game, or even explicitly predatory, like, gotcha experience, because there's, like, hundreds of those. So, like, there's definitely a reason people play this game. It sounds a bit more redeemable than you're describing.
What in the world would make you think that?
I don't know. People keep playing it.
Well, people keep on not getting the COVID vaccine, Rocky.
Okay.
I mean, just because people do something doesn't make it good.
Right, but the thing is that if there are so many alternatives that seem to offer experiences of similar quality and shape, why would people stick to this one? That's what I'm saying. They do.
Because gacha games are addictive.
But it's not just that. That's what I mean. Like, it's not just, like, the same, like, 3, like, gacha people or whatever. Like, people enter the space of the game, and, like, some people stick around. Like, people are pitched new gachas, like, every week.
Well, sure, you build a fucking pyramid in the middle of the desert, and you put a sphinx out front, then you have Chris Angel there, and you're like, please come see Chris Angel at our fucking pyramid. Inevitably, some of the people who go to the building to see Chris Angel in the pyramid are gonna stick around and play slots.
But it's more than some. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like people dig World Flipper when they play it. Like, it's cool. Or as far as the gacha people seem to say.
Right, because they're addicts. They're gambling addicts, Rocky. Like, they have issues with addiction. Like, on this show, there is a host who's like, I can't be around this gacha game Because if I am, I will spend hundreds of dollars. Rocky, please play the game for me so I can experience it vicariously. Because if I touch it, I will waste thousands of dollars.
Okay. Maybe I'm explaining this wrong. Like, that's true, sure. But stuff with, like, say, like, Love Nikki, like, maybe, like, the gacha stuff is actually really good. Or maybe that the story that you're engaging with... Huh?
What can make gacha stuff good? Like, what is good addictive gambling?
Okay. Brian, if you want to refuse to understand this, that's fine. We don't have to have this conversation. But, like, what I'm saying is that, like, for example, like, Love Nikki, like, the quality of the assets that are designed, like, I look at Love Nikki, and it's a game that's explicitly designed to fleece girls that like looking at pretty things. I know that that's what it's for. And so, like, if they're not gambling their money away but still get to look at the pretty things, that's a valuable experience. Like, that makes sense, right? And, like, with stuff like, say, like, I can't remember the actual name of it. It's, like, Tales of, like, Cresteria or whatever the Gacha Tales game was. People that stuck with it talk about how good the story is. That it's actually extraordinarily great writing for the game that they've been building up over the years of playing. It's like basically playing through a really great JRPG that's like wrapped in a K-drama, but you have to deal with the gacha stuff. There are exchanges that people are obviously making. They're not just hopeless addicts. It's not reasonable to say.
I don't accept that.
That's fine. I get that. That's evident to me from the beginning of this conversation. But I had to say the words so that I can get
I also think it's
head.
unfair to frame the conversation by saying, like, oh, okay, I just think you're being unreasonable.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, the design of the game is inherently predatory. If you have to couch the description of how people are enjoying this Tales game is they have to, like, put up or get through the gacha stuff to enjoy the things that you're talking about, this writing, which is so good. Mm-hmm. And then, like, it's a treadmill to the experience. Like, it's...
I agree. I'm not justifying that gacha games are allowed to be this way, but I am willing to acknowledge that in addition to gacha, if that's not a deal breaker, choosing a particular gacha game over another one, in this case World Flipper, probably means that there's something else to the experience.
If something repeatedly fucks you, and you have the cognitive ability to recognize that you're being fucked, and the ability to say, you know what, I don't appreciate being fucked, then you stop.
Generally speaking, yes.
But if you find yourself unable to stop being fucked, it's because...
Brian, I'm familiar with Stockholm Syndrome. Please move on.
No, Rocky, I'm not talking about fucking Stockholm. You know what? There's no point to this. Talk about something else.
Okay. I finished Dark Souls. That was a video game.
Okay, that's great. What else?
Let me see. I've gotten through, like, the second, like, act of Tales, and, like, when I'm looking at, like, the new stuff coming out for Arise, I mean, I know it's not going to be Tales of Symphonia 3, but I'm actually truly bewildered to what, like, Arise is putting together as an experience. Like, it seems like it's definitely an RPG, but, like, it looks like an RPG that's, like, built in with, like, not random, but instance, like, action combat battles. And, like, there's a certain level where, like, I'm questioning why it's just not, like, an open, like, action RPG, which is, like, the enemies that you're going to fight in the overworld. Like, why does it have to be, like, thrown into instance combat? And, like, I am worried about how, like, the story is shaped right now. I mean, currently, like, as far as I know about it, it just seems like silly JRPG nonsense on its face, but usually, like, Tales ends up showing, like, significant depth as you get in. And, like, we're on day 2, so, like, I haven't seen a full playthrough of the game, so I don't know how deep it's going to go. But I'm a little worried that, like, the story ends up being, like, shallow with, like, characters that, like, I'm less familiar with, and so, like, I may latch onto them, like, not as well. I want to see how it goes next week.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I thought when I looked at Tales of Arise, I knew what I was getting. And now I don't. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know? I don't mind being surprised by games and what I'm going to get out of the experience. But, like, I don't really understand what they're selling right now. And that exploration is interesting to me, but I don't... It seems like a lot of interactability in ways that I did not expect and don't know how they fit together.
Any thoughts on the DLC?
Do you mean like the bonus content where you pay extra money for right now, or like season pass stuff down the line?
I'm talking about the costumes.
Okay, so yeah, they're costumes. I don't care. Basically, like I looked at them, it's like, wait, you want me to pay $20 extra for items and some costumes? No thanks. I don't love like Bamco that much. And I saw another one for like $104, and I didn't read what that one was about, but like I didn't believe it would be worth my time or my money, so like I just bought the game.
It looks like a lot of these costumes that they're selling actively include buffs.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
So like the costumes themselves are not they're not entirely cosmetic in their value. It's like, and this costume also does this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that's happened with like JRPGs. But I mean, I've heard that there's like there's a significant change to like the way the battle system works initially. Like for example, in Symphonia, it's action combat, but you have like a block like in your kit. That's just how it works. Mm-hmm. And apparently in Arise, you don't have a block, but you have a dodge. And functionally, long term, they kind of work the same. It's just that dodges like allow you to play more aggressively over time, but like you can't play as safely with the dodge, honestly, because you know you can't hold it and it's not sustained. Like you still have to time it, or at least more aggressively than like a block or whatever. So it rewards you for like learning it, but like that could make the early game like tougher. So like that may be something if you're less comfortable with action RPGs. If you wanted to buy some sort of cushion for it, then like.
Well, how about the DLC, which can be purchased multiple times, mm-hmm. which is the level up your entire party DLC?
Same thing. Like, I'm personally not super worried about it. If people want to do it, that's fine. Apparently, there's like a boss near the beginning of the game that's like crazy out of your level, and if you want to beat it right now, then like you'd probably need that. But like, I don't know. It's an RPG. I'm gonna spend some time with it. That's what I expect going in. And if I want to skip the time, I guess you could pay money for it. Good for those people, but it's not me, I guess.
Or, I mean, I guess you could buy the Growth Boost Pack. Mm-hmm. You see what the Growth Boost Pack does is it doubles your XP.
Sure.
And it doubles your SP and gives you additional combat points in, you know, when you're engaged in combat. So, like, you could take your crack at that really hard boss with the, you know, the growth boost, and then if that doesn't work, then I guess you could level up your party a couple times with the level packs, mm-hmm. and then if that doesn't work, maybe add some of these costumes with which have buffs on them.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, like I'm just saying that this game has launched with $130 worth of DLC out of the gate.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see how the game is tuned. I mean, I guess it is possible that the game could be tuned in a way that's so predatory that you can't clear things without an outrageous amount of time. But as far as JRPGs go, you're usually throwing in some time investment. Maybe with like with Ingenuity, you can like lower whatever that time actually is. And some people who, you know, don't have the time to do that kind of stuff, they're more willing to just pay extra so that they could breeze through the game. So I don't know. I'm gonna try the freemium experience because I always do.
It's not freemium because you're gonna have to pay $60. Like freemium implies that you could play it for free without spending $130 because the game's tuned to the $130 worth of DLC to be bought. You have to pay $60 to get in. It's not freemium.
My apologies. I'll rephrase. I'll be playing like the standard experience as far as I can tell, which is paying the $70 game. I think that's what it was. No, it's a $60 game. Pay for the $60 game. And if it's I don't know, actually impossible to get through, then we can revisit that. But I haven't played the game at all, so I don't know at the moment. But just seems like an action RPG, which is kind of what I was expecting, but like the progression looks a little different. Not necessarily in a predatory fashion, just like in a way I didn't necessarily expect.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be doing that like next week whenever I finish Symphonia, which should be in like the next week because I'm in Act 3 and I'm only like 30 hours in, which is a little faster than I thought I was actually going to be here at. But last time I played it, I was a teenager, so totally different experience. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to Tales of Arise. It just looks really different from what I thought it was going to be. And we're near the end of Uwu. A couple of us have actually cleared already, but they basically did overtime. My co-healer actually played through Labor Day weekend and got his first clear like 4 a.m. Wednesday morning because he wanted it really bad, but he got it. Shout outs to Chrome. Doza, I think, was there with him. No, Doza finished Tuesday morning, I think. Or no. Tuesday, like just before raid. And Max got his on Thursday night with the other two. But I want to show you something, actually, Brian.
Okay.
It may only serve to infuriate you, so I do want you to be prepared for that. But there is a visual guide that outlines a mechanic that we're going to be working on next week. It is a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of things going on at once. And what I'm showing you is the approved Party Finder strat, which is a strategy designed to limit the points of failure so that people who don't have any form of communication can do so with a group without fucking up. And for anyone who's interested, it is the Uwu Ultimate Suppression Visual Guide by Igor Oliveira, actually. Or maybe Oliveira, but I don't think that's right. And for their suppression strategy, they basically run in a straight line and then break off when their debuffs are like marking them. And so, Brian, you're going to see 4 perspectives over the 2 minutes. What it starts with is that everybody except for the tanks lines up on like the northwest corner of the stage, and they line up horizontally, and they run in a straight line. And 3 of them are going to be targeted by these like big fire AoEs that appear under them. And the other 3 people are going to be targeted with a couple other buffs. 2 of them that weren't targeted by the fire eruptions are going to be targeted by a thing called Mistral Song. And so after the second circle goes down, they have to run off to the side behind the tanks so that they can survive the hit that they're going to be targeted by. And then the last person is going to be targeted by something called Light Pillar, which makes it so that they run away from the entire group because there's going to be invisible area effect attacks that hit them. Meanwhile, the other 3 people that were targeted with the fire things, one of them's going to be trapped in like a boulder that the rest of the party has to break them out of. This mechanic lasts about, 12 seconds altogether? But there are a lot of things that everyone needs to be paying attention to and to do properly. And so it's a bitch and a half. And in addition to that, this section usually shows up about 12 to 14 minutes into the fight. So it is difficult to practice when you get there. So it's a good idea to have this strategy up front. But this is what we're going to be doing. This is our goal for next week. We're going to try to get to and through suppression. And if we can do that, then we can clear. The rest of it's like not that bad. You can call out the rest of it. But suppression is something else, Brian. Have you seen this? Are you looking at it?
I'm watching. I'm watching.
Any thoughts? Any feelings?
I mean, I guess I don't really have any thoughts that have value here.
Okay.
Like, I know that I've tried to watch you play this game before, and I guess I've found this specific kind of situation, which I guess are these like boss fights or raid battles, just so incredibly like visually and aurally chaotic that I just like look at them and I go like, ah!
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
That's fair.
And I look at this and I honestly find it to be hilarious that in the course of this like 3-minute video, there are these like 4 title cards that come up like it's fucking Kill Bill, and like just like chapter 3, this thing. Because I'm like, really? Because I can literally see no visual distinction between what's happening in this section from the one that came before. So I'm glad these title cards are here for people who understand this shit. You know, like.
No, yeah. No, I totally get that. Oh, man. Obviously, this is probably one of the more streamlined versions of, like, talking about the thing. Or talking about it is probably a misnomer because it's just a video. There's no, like, voiceover or anything. But there are definitely a lot of people that create content specifically to try to teach people these fights. There's one guy, Ilya specifically, does a very, very methodical approach where he'll essentially play a successful clear or like overlays of successful clears and literally like freeze frame them and then like talk about the mechanic as it's happening. To be fair, it does take a long time to get through any of those videos. Like I think one of them that I tried to watch before I got frustrated, there was a fight that was about, I don't know, 8-9 minutes long.
Right.
And like his explanation video for it was about 2.5 hours long. And it was warranted because the stuff that he was talking about was actually very complicated. And he'd move the camera around and he would say like this, like these people who get tagged by this need to do this, or only these people get touched by this. So it's definitely comprehensive, but like it felt like aggressively slow to me and I couldn't deal with it. So like that's why I usually watch like stuff like this and then like use text guides to like parse it. That's the way that I'm comfortable learning this kind of content.
At the risk of like sounding like an old man, but
sure.
I think frankly right now I just don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and sound like an old man.
Go for it.
There was an essay that was getting some attention this week on Bloomberg by Tyler Cohen that was entitled "How Gaming Will Change Humanity as We Know It."
Sure.
And I really connected with the essay because of some of the ideas that were presented within it. And I am now going to, I guess, in the context of like talking about the complexity of like just this very, very narrow slice of experience. Because like, you know, like I want to emphasize that we're not talking about like the totality of Final Fantasy XIV here.
Not even close, no.
Right. We are talking about like one thing that happens in Final Fantasy XIV. That is it. Right? You know, this is Ultima Weapon Ultimate. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Fantastic. Brian's been paying at least enough attention. So this idea which is advanced in this essay.
Tell me about the essay.
Here we go. Just a little brief excerpt from the essay. When it comes to culture, the West has been in dialogue with itself for centuries, indeed millennia. Stretching at least as far back as the Bible and ancient Greeks, literature, music, cinema, and visual arts provide a common body of knowledge that intellectual elites are expected to be conversant with. Knowing one part of that canon usually helps you master the other parts. Verdi drew upon Shakespeare, who influenced Orson Welles, and so on. Culture has never been about self-contained worlds. Quite the contrary. Games break that continuity. Typically, a game is a closed system that requires a lot of time and attention to achieve mastery, thereby encouraging specialized consumption. It is easy to become a world-class performer in a game without knowing much about broader culture. By the same token, most of today's cultural experts know very little about gaming, and they get on just fine. The world of culture and gaming are largely separate.
I feel like I disagree with that last sentence, but go on.
And then this is an idea that I've really been like thinking a lot this week. Like video games are, not all video games, but most video games at this point, at least those which are developed in a AAA space,
Sure,
are designed intentionally to be so profoundly complicated that like the decision to play the game is like the decision to like enter into like an emotional relationship with another human being. if you're going to play game X, then like you are essentially committing to game X. You know, like if you're like, you know what, saying that you're gonna like play Madden is the same as being like, you know what, I'm getting a sock drawer at my girlfriend's. Like it's just like you can't kind of decide to play Madden. You can't kind of decide to play Final Fantasy XIV. These games are exhausting in the amount of like mental, physical, and emotional resources that are required to like get invested in them. And like you cannot just like you cannot dabble, and like you're not aided by understanding anything else. And I'm just like I look at this, and it seems to be video games in general disinviting people who are not already actively playing like a shit ton of these expensive video games, and then just like reinforcing the decision made by people who have already decided to do it. Like, oh, okay, hey, everybody, you made the right idea. Yes, spending the money as you do is a good idea. And like, I think probably part of why I thought about it is that, I've been spending time with these thoughts today, this week, is that like NBA 2K22 came out this week, and it made me want to fucking burn down all the video games. When I saw the footage of the city, like, are you familiar with the city in NBA 2K, Rocky?
Not really, no.
Okay, so in the NBA 2K franchise, there is an online open world area that your player character navigates by foot.
Sure.
They wander around. They encounter other people. Like, think of it as like the Citadel in Destiny or whatever. You can encounter other players, challenge them to games. You can encounter DLC as rendered in-world objects. You can wander into a fucking shoe store and then buy fake shoes with real money. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I hate that. Like walking into a fake Nike store to spend real money on fake Nikes wounds me.
Really?
But anyway, so this game, these NBA 2K games where the controls are like so ridiculously complicated, like everything in these games is on like a traditional like golden T style like power scale, like passing, shooting, like it just like simply the act of holding the ball is incredibly complicated in the NBA 2K games. But like in this NBA 2K game where everything is so complicated that a casual player can never engage with the systems, you can wander an open world city and then encounter Jake from State Farm. And when your character encounters Jake from State Farm, it triggers a cutscene where you hang out and you talk with Jake from State Farm about State Farm's great low rates and how much your character, the player character, really likes Jake from State Farm and how they should hang out. And you then encounter Jake from State Farm again, and then the game gives you the opportunity to again spend real money on buying State Farm themed gear in this game, which is like so complicated that a casual player could never touch it.
But I'll come back to the Jake State Farm thing for a second, but I have to ask you a serious question, Brian. Are you saying that there are no casual players of like NBA 2K?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. Stand by it.
What does that mean?
I'm saying that a human being cannot walk into a GameStop, buy a copy of this game, go home and play it. The learning curve on modern sports games is like, there is not an NBA 2K a shoot the ball fucking button. There is not a shoot the fucking ball button on the controller.
How do you shoot a ball on NBA 2K?
It is this ridiculous like algebra of like 19 different things that you have to do in order to shoot the ball or pass the ball. Like everything is on a meter. Everything is a combination of like both analog sticks, multiple button presses, some button holds, plus some button releases. The last time I tried to engage with NBA was a few years ago when they brought in Spike Lee, and they're like, we're going to have Spike Lee do a story in NBA 2K. And I was like, okay, go on. And they're like, yeah, Spike Lee's going to do a story where a guy, as I recall, let's see here. I got to make sure I get the name right because it was really dumb. And it was really, I thought, top shelf. Like the kind of like.
There was a ghost in there or something?
Yes, there was a ghost. And your character was haunted by a ghost. And your character had a real dumb. See here, what was the character's name? Yes, your character's name was Frequency Vibrations.
Right.
You played Frequency Vibrations, and Frequency Vibrations is haunted by a ghost of a guy who we played basketball with in high school. And the guy who is a ghost brings a 3-ring binder with him places to read reasons why he is a ghost. And I'm like, I have to experience this. Holy shit. That sounds like both the best thing ever and the dumbest thing ever. I need to see this. So I bought it. I bought NBA 2K16.
I remember.
Imagine my fucking surprise to like get the game home and discover that there's literally not a shoot the ball button. Like, there's not. It just doesn't exist. There's not a button for shooting the ball. They're like, to shoot the ball, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and then you have to do 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just surprised, like, that it was like an ordered sequence of, at minimum, like there are situations where there's more, but at minimum, there's 4 things that you need to do to shoot the ball in sequence.
Okay.
And then if you break that sequence, your character just drops the ball on the ground like a fucking idiot.
Sure.
And this is where I'm saying that, like, these games don't invite people who don't exist within the video game space into them. Like, you can't just, like, hand a controller to someone and say, like, let's play this video game basketball, because the game actively keeps people out who don't want to participate in these expensive ecosystems. There is no such thing as, like, casual players of these games. People who play Madden, people who play NBA, people who play Call of Duty are people who have invested years into these ecosystems. They're bad in the same way that WWE is bad, in that they're not, like, say, creating new customers. They're not creating new players. They're fighting for customer retention, not customer acquisition.
Sure.
How many people can we keep on teabagging each other with their rifles instead of, like, getting new people to teabag each other with their rifles? And, like, even that is just, like, ridiculous. Like the notion of, like, teabagging someone while holding a rifle is, like, so, like, weirdly, like, niche, and just, like, if you were trying to explain to somebody this thing that you do in a video game, like, well, first I aim down sights. This is after I juiced my grenade. Well, what the fuck is juicing a grenade? Like, these are not concepts that are easily explained to people who are outside of these systems. And these are even before we get into video games that admit to being complicated. These are games that claim to be simple.
Maybe known is what I'd say.
And so, like, I think that's what's that?
Maybe known as opposed to simple, I think is what I'd say.
Like,
I don't think Call of Duty is really interested in, like, re-explaining itself, because a lot of people already know what's going on.
But the people who know what's going on are people who are existing participants in the ecosystem.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying here is that, like, for example, I don't play Call of Duty, and I don't know all of its mechanics, but, like, a lot of the things that, like, go on in Call of Duty, I understand because I know how Call of Duty works. But I'm not sure I'm aware of, like, Call of Duty trying to market itself as simple, just, like, known. But that's a nitpick. I'm just trying to organize what I'm hearing.
Okay. It's strange. I'm sure you've seen one of these videos. There's a million of them, where someone hands a very, very small child a Game Boy, and the kid doesn't even register the presence of buttons on the face of the object.
Sure. And
they just sit there and they start, like, trying to swipe the Game Boy's screen with their fingers. You like, there's a million of them. And recently, Microsoft, through its acquired arm Bethesda, released a remaster of Quake on just about everything. Like, hey everybody, here's Quake remastered for your PC, your Xbox, your PlayStation, your Switch. Like, here's Quake remastered. And the number of people I saw on the fucking internet who are, like, significantly younger than I am, who started, like, playing this Quake and being like, how do I grip to cover? I can't stick to cover. I don't know how to stick to cover. Where's the stick to cover button? Like, how do I aim down sights? How do I stick to cover? Like, how do I juice the grenades? And I'm like, oh my god, like, these people who are like looking for these like systems of like layered complexity that have come subsequently. And this is what I think is like one of the points which of this Bloomberg essay, which is that video games don't have the space to like engage with the player needing to be conversant in broader culture, because video games demand that the player be an exhaustive expert on it. Like,
well, I feel like that is the case for some games. Like Dark Souls is actually a very good example of that. And while I also can concede that the culture of video gaming isn't necessarily additive or even laterally transferable in a lot of cases. Like, for example, playing Mr. Mosquito will teach you nothing about Street Fighter. But I feel like while video games have become more complicated over time because people who are making them have realized that people can engage with more complicated things and don't like reject them out of hand. Like, for example, if, I don't know, even if like NBA Live or NBA Jam, if NBA Jam came out in like 1972, like even if it was like not even full color at the time, the level of like interactability would have like turned off a lot of people. They wouldn't have engaged with it because they didn't have any like scope or context or maybe even time to dig into it. But I think that like the complexity of video games like definitely has some sort of conversation, but they're not universal ones. Like there are things about like basketball as a sport that you understand intuitively from something like NBA Live and NBA Jam, but NBA Jam doesn't necessarily teach you about modern like 2K because they use a very different system for interactability. But the trade-off is that you get a lot more control over the character once you understand the space. But, you know, gaining that kind of control is very much like learning to walk again, which I can understand is not a very enjoyable experience.
And so, like, I think that something which is, like, I guess important to understand this, the quarrel with this idea, you know, like, is that for most things that happen in video games, the activity which is being portrayed is something which is outside of the player's scope of personal experience. I have never taken up a sword and fought a dragon, right? You know, I never will take up a sword and fight a dragon. I will never play basketball at the professional level, you know?
Sure.
I will never play poker with Jonathan Frakes. These are things which are outside of the scope of my personal experience. And so, like, there is, like, a prism of imagined input for the people who are playing the games, right? Like there is a level of understanding that the player has. And like my understanding of what happens in a basketball game when if I have my television on and there are the Clippers and the Suns, and I see somebody shoot the ball, then like the way my brain processes what they are doing is that they are shooting the ball. Like that is my understanding of the act.
Sure.
Right.
But I feel like I'd have to mention that there are, and I'm not even sure if I would describe them as like super fans at this point. Like let's say if I were in high school and I was watching basketball with the intent to play, I could see a different level of depth for like what's happening on screen and wanting to like emulate that in a game experience.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that like what you might be talking about is like what culture demands now, which is that to engage with anything, you have to be obsessed with it. That's it. Like that, those are your choices are to not engage with something or to be obsessed with it. Those are your choices.
I'm not sure if I'd phrase it that way. Like, I understand what you're saying, and, like, my point isn't actually different, but I think it's that there are a lot more ways to engage with your obsessions. Maybe not in obsessions, because I don't really like that word in this particular case, but I think you are able to engage with things in a lot more depth than necessarily you were in the past. Because, like, if you knew about, like, you know, I want to stutter step this guy and, like, then cross him up, you really couldn't do that in NBA Jam. But you can do it in 2K. You could do it forever. That's because you have a personal knowledge of, like, not necessarily the game 2K, but, like, the game of basketball. Like, that's a cultural experience that you've, like, absorbed, and you're trying to use it in the simulated space. I agree that using those types of tools, like, makes it more difficult for people that don't have that frame of reference. But I'm not sure,
right.
like, it's...
So now we create multiple layers of obfuscation between the player, or I'm sorry, the prospective player and the experience. Like, because what we're talking about is somebody who has to have engaged with watching basketball, and the way that they engage with watching basketball is a level of, like, a level of, I want to say, like, I feel like understanding is the wrong word. Like a depth of care to, like, the way that they consume the media. Like, they're watching it, and they understand all the things that people do with their feet. They understand all the things that people do with their hands. They they understand, like, different, like, say, play calling strategies by different coaches. Like,
Sure.
And so, like, now someone needs to have that innate level of understanding, and then layer on top of that, they need to play a game which has 14 points of input at a minimum.
Okay, so Brian, I get what you're saying, that it does have this, like, gatekeeping effect for the people that aren't in the know, but from what I understand, it looks a lot more to me like they're just putting the tools in the hands that know how to use them. Like, I don't think they put these tools into the game to confuse prospective players. It's much more to, like, service the people that are already here.
Yeah, that's literally what I said earlier. Like, where I said that, like, there was player retention, not player acquisition.
Right, but I understand that, like, 2K definitely dominates, like, the basketball, like, game playing space. And there are people, obviously, in much smaller instances in, like, presentation that are trying to enter the space for a more, like, simpler experience that focuses on different things beyond, like, simulation. But I don't know. I just don't feel like no one's bullying you into playing 2K if you want to play basketball on a video game system.
Well, yeah, there's no, like, video games don't care if you are a person who do not play video games, play them or not. They don't.
Well, mixed bag, but, like, that's definitely been the trend for, like, the past, like, 10 years.
I mean, I would say longer.
Okay.
That, like, video games, the AAA space,
sure,
with rare exception. And I think we can call out some of those, like, those rare exceptions, like, pretty easily. I think that there are moments. It's not like an activity. It's not a philosophy that they apply all the time, but there are moments where Nintendo shows interest in new player acquisition. Wii Sports is a good example.
Sure.
But, like, for the most part, AAA video games could give a fuck about new people playing video games. And that is why, like, okay, so, like, there was a video game that got shown during Sony's thing. It was just more and more about, like, the people that are being targeted to buy video games now are all fucking dads, like, at the south end, early to mid 30s, north end, like mid 40s to 50s. Like, it's dads. We're selling video games to dads, and just to, like, see this, like, ridiculous, like, fucking cartoon angry man, like, running around going, I am a dad. I must dad. This is time to dad. Dad. It's dad time. No, war is wrong. It's dad. And then all he does is, like, fucking do war the entire trailer. It's like, war is wrong in his dad time. And there's this like his anxious fucking Zoomer son being like, "Oh, Dad, can we make war? Can we make war, Dad, like you did in your teens?" "Oh, I'm a dad now." And it's like there's no discernible difference between like dadding and making war, and it's just simply because of like the demographic targeting, because all Sony Santa Monica Studios is courting is people who currently play video games, which to their understanding are men between 32 and 48. That's it, which are people who are already at the video game party. If you're already at the video game party, by all means, play Dad of War, Ragnarok, where you can dad like you do at home. So before you take your son to soccer, play Dad of War. And then while he's at soccer, maybe you can squeeze in a game of NBA 2K and fucking hang out with Jake from State Farm. Oh.
Who do you want to play video games?
Everyone. Like Gary Oldman shouting .gif.
No, but I'm seriously, man. Like, I mean, if you want, there are people that you know, or maybe a population that you feel like isn't currently being serviced by video games. Who do you think video games should serve that isn't currently being served?
I think that if someone is curious about video games, then their current understanding of culture, like if they listen to music, if they read books, if they watch movies, if they watch television, if they know anything about history, that their understanding of culture and society will bring nothing to their experience of AAA video games. And that's why and Rocky, I hope I've been doing enough, and please tell me if I haven't. This is why I've said over and over again, AAA, because I don't think a lot of the things that I'm saying about disinviting players and, being a locked off experience are necessarily true about games that exist in the indie space.
Sure.
I think that a lot of games in the indie space actively do court new players and actively do value, cultural literacy outside of video games in general. But like AAA video games could give a fuck about whether...
Isn't that for the best then? Because like if AAA video games don't care, like obviously they have the most marketing money, so they'll get in front of the most people. But if they don't have these types of interest in like connecting with players, then all they turn out to be is expensive mistakes. And we want them to make expensive mistakes, right? So they don't do them again.
I think in principle, I agree with you, Rocky. The problem is that for people...
They're still successful?
Well, I mean, like that's one part of it. The other part of it is like, for somebody out there who might, for them that like video games is more like a theoretical concept because they don't engage with it because of like what their vague, distant understanding of what games is. And they're like, oh, like video games sound like it might be neat, but like, gosh, I don't want to fuck with video games. There is like a tired old trope, which is generally sexist, but I want to engage with it for a second, which is this notion of like angry girlfriends who are mad at their Call of Duty playing boyfriends.
Yeah.
And I think that like the thing that like jumps out at me is that like this idea, which doesn't get, I guess, engaged with enough when examining this trope, which is the idea that like Call of Duty is such a demanding act of like spinning multiple plates while juggling while riding a unicycle, that like if your partner asks you how your day was, you can't be bothered to answer their question because of how much concentration the activity that you're playing requires. That like if that is like, say, somebody's experience from the outside looking in at video games, why in the world would they ever want to engage with that? Like if when they see people engage with the video games, they become these like weird, obsessive, like expert assholes. Why would they ever want to be that? And I guess that's the problem with like the large outward face of video games being these AAA experiences, it discourages people who might get rewarded by those indie experiences from ever even finding out about those indie experiences. I am so grateful that like Among Us was successful in the way that it was, because Among Us is a game that is like very simple, very social, and a lot of people touched Among Us who had never really touched video games before. Like, and a lot of that had to do with the pandemic, but people got to like experience this game where it doesn't require the equivalent of like a fucking 4-year degree to know how to play it, which is nice. So I guess that's my problem with these games, which like are infinitely complicated and require no cultural literacy, and just assume that everybody is playing them as a man between 32 and 48 who lives in the United States of America, is that when those games are the face of video games, it chases away a whole bunch of other people.
Damn, I could have sworn like Mario was still the face of video games. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the cold, hard fact about Mario is that Mario is increasingly niche. Mario is Mickey Mouse. Like, yes, there will always be room in this world for Mickey Mouse, but like, Mickey Mouse is no longer a tastemaker. Yeah.
A tastemaker? Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I thought are you walking back your forgiveness of Odyssey right now?
No,
like,
I love Odyssey. I love Odyssey, but I'm an old, out of touch man.
So many people love Odyssey, Brian. Like, I don't know which. Okay, it's fine.
Odyssey is a very, very good video game, and like my reappraisal over the years, where I'm just like, I've definitely had days where I've talked about it this podcast, where I've been sitting around going like, God damn, I love Odyssey. I wish I was playing Odyssey right now. I'm like, fuck, Odyssey should have been higher. I'm like, I fucked up, and it's one of those things where like,
I'm messing around. I know.
Yeah, right. But the thing is that like, so many people out there might not ever touch Super Mario fucking Odyssey because they lived with a person who played NBA 2K, or they've been around people who play Call of Duty. Like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, just like, and even there are things which like games now just like assume that people understand.
Yeah, sure.
And it's so weird to like go back to like games where these concepts were being introduced for the first time ever. Like, I think about like Super Mario 64 and like the fucking Lakitu showing up, and he's like, "Hi, I'm the Lakitu. I hold the fucking camera. By the way, the camera fucking moves in this video game. So let's talk about camera movement, okay? All right, bud. Let's talk about it a little bit." And then, like, as we've moved forward from 1996 to that fucking Lakitu with his camera in the cloud, and then at some point, Mr. Video Games said, "You know what? We need to not tell people about how to control cameras in the context of third-person action video games. We need to not do that because they get pissed off because they think that we're wasting their time." And it's like, well, the people who have played third-person character action video games know about moving cameras, but what if somebody sees this experience, wants to play with it, and hasn't touched one of those before? Like, when video games make assumptions about like a baseline level of knowledge for what the player understands, like within the context of the interaction, like it has to make every time they make an assumption, there's a trade-off.
Sure. Yeah, equivalent exchange.
Like, okay, if we make this assumption, there's somebody who's going to like feel like kind of a frustration because of a thing which is not being communicated to the player right now. Now, sometimes you can not directly communicate something to the player, and you can find a way of like teaching them about it, which has value to the player. You can find another way of teaching them. Like, obviously, the first two moving objects that you see in Mario 1-1 are a great example. Mushroom shaped. You see the first Goomba walking toward you, and then you reach the row of 3 blocks, and you jump in the middle one. A mushroom comes out, which is shaped like the thing that might have just killed you if you've never touched Mario before, and you live in 1985, and you're like, it's shaped like the thing that just killed me. And so, like, the game is, with its limited resources, trying to explain to you the value versus lethality of these two objects. But if you flash forward, like 20 odd years, at that point, Mario just shrugs his shoulders and goes, you know what a fucking Goomba is. And it's like, well, I know what a fucking Goomba is. Rocky knows what a fucking Goomba is. Lots of us out there know what a fucking Goomba is, but there might be people who don't. And again, Mario might be a bad example because Mario is one of those weird edge cases where the language of the game is culturally transcendent. Like, there is a broader understanding of like Mario objects in popular culture.
Mm-hmm.
But in most video games, that doesn't exist. Like, I guarantee you, if I pull fucking somebody off the street, I'm just like, hey, rando, do you know who Dr. Neo Cortex is? If I show you a picture of Dr. Neo Cortex, would you know who he is? Would you know what he do? And they would say to me, what the fuck are you talking about? Get away from me, you weird, strange, fat man.
You probably got like a 10% chance on that one, actually.
You mean for somebody being able to, like, identify Dr. Neo Cortex?
Yeah.
You think that 10% of the...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you think that... All right, I mean, first off, Rocky, we live in a society.
Wow, okay. Brian, tell me about, what is it called? World Zookeeper?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't see anything in the doc here that says that.
Yeah, I know, but it's on your Twitter feed, and that's why I'm asking you about it. So... Wow, Brian's not going to tell me about a video game? I guess we can do news. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Yeah, for more news regarding World Zookeeper, follow me on Twitter. Da 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 da. Epic versus Apple is over. Judge issued a 185-page ruling. Judge says that Epic failed to prove that Apple is a monopoly. Judge says that Apple has to let app developers use third-party payment processors on their apps in the store. And for all of you homies at home who were like, okay, does that mean that Fortnite is back on the App Store now? No, it doesn't. Because remember, separately, Apple is suing Epic for intentionally violating their developer agreement. Like, Apple is contending that, like, Epic intentionally violated that agreement, and so, like, as a result, Epic's developer certificates for the App Store are still revoked, and so they can't just, like, flip a switch and put Fortnite back up, because even though this court case is over, there is still the other court case where Apple is suing Epic. I don't know when Fortnite will get back onto the App Store. Like, and I wonder if the end result of this is that Apple allows Epic to start providing service again to devs who use Unreal, but not allow Fortnite onto the store. Like, one of the things that came out in the court case is that, like, 70% of Apple's revenue that comes from the
App Store.
The App Store comes from games. Just period.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Games are huge business for Apple. They finally are now treating them like they're huge business. And Epic has now fucked up a giant chunk of their revenue. So I don't know where they go from here.
What do you mean? There's a rematch like next year.
Like a pay-per-view?
Well, sorta. I mean, it's going to be in Australia, so I don't know how Australian pay-per-view works, but yeah, they're going at it again November 2022.
There we go. I don't know. Rocky, what do you think of this?
I think it's hilarious, personally, because both Apple and Epic presented terrible cases, and they basically had an internal dispute that they wanted to get lawyers involved in, and, like, I'm convinced that they actually wasted this antitrust judge's time. I think the only thing they actually violated was, like, the California distribution law. Like, it didn't actually reach up to the level of affecting, like, any antitrust legislation. So this could have been settled in just, like, a California court instead of, like, you know, anything larger. It's going to get appealed, but neither of them are happy because Apple wanted a complete victory and Epic very publicly lost. I hope I see a future where Fortnite never makes it back onto the App Store. This probably isn't the end of this, but by December, developers will have more freedom to communicate directly with their customers and even through the apps that are on the App Store. So that's cool.
Right.
But yeah, this is a mess, and they're the ones that have to clean it up. And Epic wanted to bully the judicial system into cleaning it up for them, and they didn't have a good enough case. Get fucked. GG's. But yeah, this whole Epic versus Apple thing is mostly posturing. Like, they don't have the arguments, and the laws that they're kind of fighting over barely exist on the books yet. So, you know, we'll see what happens long term, but this is definitely not going away. I'm pretty sure this is far from over, actually.
Yeah, like, it's funny to me that so many people's immediate reaction to this was to grab their phones and to try and download Fortnite. And I'm like, y'all think we're at a different part of the process. Like, it'll be a while before that happens.
If it happens.
Exactly. Like, I think if it happens is the best way to put it. Especially considering, like, the developer certificate for Fortnite on iOS is currently revoked. So, like, Epic can't even update the game?
Nope.
So, I mean, like, there's that.
I mean, it's their fault, so. Jeez.
Well, I mean, they wanted the smoke.
Yeah.
The most important part of this is a line that was buried in the ruling regarding Peely, in which the judge says Peely is just a banana man.
I mean, they did spend, 30 minutes litigating about Peely, and for what?
Exactly.
He's just a banana man.
It's just like we live in a society where somebody in this like anti-competitive antitrust fucking lawsuit had to, in their like exhaustively long findings, type the words in all seriousness, Peely is just a banana man.
Yeah.
Christ almighty George. What a world. What a fucking world.
What a time to be alive.
Indeed. Yeah. Rocky, I think you have news.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really widespread or really affecting the industry, but I want to talk about it. There's a man. His name is Butra Soniak. He goes by the name Roundhouse, and he has been scooping up tournament victories for Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Uh-huh.
For people who are asking, yes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 still has tournaments, apparently, because people still love playing the video game. The game won't die as long as people are still playing it. But it has been around for 20 years? Some shit? And Soniak, who's been winning some pretty big Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tournaments, was getting upset because people weren't, giving him the respect he deserved. He felt like he deserved a bit more clout and he wasn't getting it. So he started, basically going on his own god-killing journey and taking on some of the old great names of Marvel vs. Capcom. And I think it was last year? Yeah, last year he took down Sanford Kelly, who was one of the EVO champions for the last Marvel vs. Capcom 2 EVO tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been wanting to fight against Justin Wong, who is unironically named the undisputed god of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But the thing is that Justin Wong has a billion things going on. He plays in online tournaments every day. I think he's on a current win streak of 50 online tournaments or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays just about every fighting game on the market in addition to being a family man. So, he just doesn't have time to deal with this dude Butra for a exhibition match just so he can feel better about himself. But there is a time-honored tradition in fighting games, which is the money match. If you want someone to play you and they don't really want to, if you offer a certain enough money on the line, because just about everyone has a price, they will play you given certain conditions. And for Justin Wong, that number turned out to be $10,000. So Butra, Roundhouse, puts up 10 grand so that he could play Justin Wong in a 1st to 15 exhibition match in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And to his credit, he did win the first game. And then he lost the next 9 in a row. It got a little better from there, but it still ended at a very convincing 15-5 in favor of Justin Wong. And honestly, I don't know what was going on in Roundhouse's mind. Like, he definitely could have played other video games. He could pick up DBFZ and try to play with other people if clout is what he's chasing. And, like, maybe he really loves Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and there is a big problem because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is not available on modern consoles because Capcom won't get off their ass or, you know, put rollback in it. But Butcher definitely stepped outside of his weight class, and he got appropriately disciplined, and that's that. That's the story.
Okay, fine. I guess I'm going to talk about stuff.
Okay.
That reminds me of a sign that was at the All Out pay-per-view this past weekend, where someone was sitting in the third row and holding a sign that said, "Roll back for Marvel vs. Capcom 2."
They deserve it.
Which is different than an episode of Dynamite where somebody was sitting there in the crowd with a sign that said, "Free Marvel vs. Capcom 2."
Yeah, you know about that, right?
About what?
So there are a lot of people who love the Marvel vs. Capcom scene that have been lobbying against Capcom to try to get them to re-release the game on modern consoles. Even people who take current versions of the game and have updated it with rollback netcode that Capcom refuses to support. So, like, it'd be different if it was just, like, these people playing in mods by themselves, but, like, every time it shows up in a major tournament, like, Capcom steps in with, like, cease and desists and, like, try to shut down tournaments for people who are running online tournaments for Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Right.
In general, let alone with, like, the rollback that some very dedicated gamers have put together. And so, like, there's been a push among people who care about the game and the scene to try to get Capcom to, at the very least, not be a dick about people who want to play the game in a way they won't support, if not just to simply support the game. It's Nintendo with Smash Bros. All over again.
This is unrelated to another sign that was at the most recent episode of Dynamite. Mm-hmm. Someone was holding a sign that said, "Roblox is better than Final Fantasy XIV."
That's actually really funny. I'd love to see that case, actually.
I'm like, all right, dude. And, you know, like, people have been going with their signs for a while now. Mm-hmm. There was the guy who showed up in full fucking Ness cosplay and bought a front row ticket so that way he could hold up a sign that says "Localized Mother 3."
They should! He's right, and you should say it.
It's weird to me because, like, AEW doesn't take audience signs away from people unless the person has put something just like if you show up to AEW, you're like, "I'm going to hold up my racist sign," they're going to take your sign away.
Right.
You know, or if you show up and you've got something like horribly sexist or homophobic on your sign, they're going to take your sign away. But if you just show up and you're like, "Hey, yo, here's my fucking video game sign," they're like, "Whatever, have a great time and have a good night. Hold up your sign." And so there's been this, like, I want to say it's weird, like, dueling banjos or this, like, escalating cacophony of video game signs. It's obvious that people are not there just to hold up the sign.
Right.
They're very obviously having a good time, you know, but they're also like, "Okay, here is my deeply held video game thought, and here is a sign about it." Like, there was a person who was holding up a sign that said, "Why isn't Skies of Arcadia on Steam?"
That is a good-ass question. I'd like to talk to that guy. I'll buy him a beer.
Right. And I'm just like, I love these fucking signs, because when somebody holds up these signs, like, they usually get a pop from me. I'm like, Jesus, like, that's a good-ass sign. The guy who had the Bring Back Fire Extinguishers and Hitman sign, like, fuck, I'll buy him a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. You know, like, just, I miss the Lethal Fire Extinguishers, so I know how he feels. Mm-hmm. I'm just picturing, like, Clemens at IO Interactive walking into work on Thursday morning and being like, "Hey, here's, like, fucking 3 dozen screen caps of the same guy sitting in a crowd holding up this sign." And I just wonder, like, I wonder when's going to be the first example of, like, a developer being like, "We hear you. We have seen you with your signs at wrestling shows."
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Because at this point, like, the overlap in like the customer demographics has become pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
Just this week, Kotaku, which is predominantly a video game website. Like that is most of what Kotaku does. Kotaku ran a commentary piece this week called All Elite Wrestling Has Made Pro Wrestling Fun Again. All about how, like, now that people aren't, like, disappointed and emotionally exhausted and morally compromised by trying to watch WWE, and that there's somebody actually out there actively trying to make something good. It's kind of like this weird alien feeling.
I get that.
Like, oh, look, there's good pro wrestling on American television, which is a thing that hasn't existed for over 15 years. It's a very strange feeling. And there's like so many people out there who are like just tweeting the cutest things like, how do I start watching this? And I love it. I really, really love it. And I love the way people are reacting, which like, okay, like here's a good place to start, or, here's a good primer, like welcome to wrestling, that kind of thing. Like, You'll have fun here. It makes me happy. And it makes me happy to see that like so many of the people who are, I guess, getting into AEW are people who are like, are coming from other like historically very nerd heavy hobbies. Like something else I saw on Twitter that I enjoyed was someone said, my favorite fall anime is AEW Dynamite.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. And I'm like, yep. They're really killing it right now. So much fun. And so, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Watch Dynamite. It's good. It's more fun than just the video game signs. Things that are not fun include China's crackdown on video games.
Yeah, they were gonna.
Yeah. So they squeezed tighter, they twisted harder this past week. And as a result, Tencent and NetEase, and for those of you playing at home, Tencent and NetEase are the two largest players in video games from China. They are the AAA players who happen to be from China. The squeeze from the Chinese government caused Tencent and NetEase to collectively lose $60 billion in value.
Rip.
And for those of you playing at home, that equates to 8 times what Microsoft spent on Bethesda. And that is 15 billion more than Roblox's initial public valuation. And let me just grab a calculator here. Let's see here. And it is 6 times more than the amount that Activision lost in value after California filed its suit. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot. So, like, and this comes, the thing which initially drove off investors were the new rules imposed by the government. So, like, initially Tencent tried to self-impose limitations, and they thought that if they self-imposed limitations in their software, that would be enough for the government. But then the government said, no, your self-imposed limitations are nowhere near as stringent as the ones we had in mind. So thanks, but no thanks. What Tencent tried to like self-impose was the idea that players can play no more than 30 minutes a day and not after 9 p.m. during the school week, and no more than 3 total hours on the weekend, and no more than 2 hours in a single day on the weekend. And the government was like, well, that still feels like a lot of gaming during the week. We think that the limitation needs to be an hour total across the entire school week, and 2 total hours, not 3 total hours on the weekend. And investors are just not really wild about this. The government has encouraged the game industry to avoid their, quote, solitary focus on profit. And they said that games are adding mechanics that promote addiction in minors. And I'm like, yo, Chinese government, have you seen NBA 2K22? Jake from State Farm is in it. And the various like government-controlled press outlets have been running more pieces about how video games are bad, video games are addictive, video games are antisocial. And another thing which has kind of emerged in the wake of this is that generally at the end of each month, the Chinese government announces the list of like online capable games which have been approved for distribution for the preceding month. Like, this month we reviewed these games and have approved them. They got to the end of August and there were no games approved. None. And it looks like there's not going to be any new online games approved for a while. The government said that they feel that they need to slow down approvals and stop them for a while. They've now used, from multiple points of publication, the phrase spiritual opium to like describe the game industry. Some analysts think that this is actually the reason why Tencent was making a point of diversifying their holdings, like when they were valued as high as they did, so that way they'll have profit vectors that exist outside of the Chinese distribution. I don't know. I don't think I'm necessarily that optimistic. I think that they were like me, and they thought the sky wasn't going to fall. And there's also folks who, financial analysts too, have said like, hey, this is push-pull. The Chinese government gets tough about video games until they realize the money that video games, put into government coffers. And so what'll happen is that at some point they'll soften up in some way. And I just don't know. Like, I'm so out of my depth. This is me running up my flag and saying, like, don't know enough about current Chinese politics to be able to, I think, speak about this from a position of, like, even armchair expertise. I just don't know. I think I'm going to have to spend a lot more time finding out about the ins and outs of the Chinese game industry and the way the Chinese game industry relates to the government. I've started following a whole new group of journalists and whole new groups of media outlets just to stay better apprised of this, because confining my reading to this from like outlets like Game Developer and Polygon and Kotaku, like reading just strictly Western news outlets on this, it seems like a lot of times like the best that they can offer up is stuff which is also like treating their understanding of like Chinese government relations with the game industry as like a not understood abstraction. And I feel like I can do better. And that is going to require like learning more about just like the internal politics of the Chinese game industry and learning more about like the ongoing history of the relationship between the government and the game industry there.
I'm not sure this is game industry specific. I feel like it might be like culture specific.
And I did look into some of that too, like the history of when the Chinese government banned the production of any art that wasn't designed to advance the objectives of the party. That was a period of time as well. And like, so one of the things that I was curious about, Rocky, is that point that you're making there. So I wanted to like back out and find out, have there been any similar squeezes applied to like, say, Chinese film studios or Chinese film distribution companies or the Chinese theater industry? Because so much of what's happening right now in like major film production, major film distribution is for the purpose of like courting large theater going Chinese audiences. Mm-hmm. It is no underestimation to say that like part of the reason that like Fast and the Furious franchise is as big as it is because of Chinese film goers. And so that is something which I've been curious about. And I have started my hunt for more like general, like Chinese media punditry. Like is this squeeze existing in any other outlet? Like, does it exist in books? Does it exist in other forms of like online entertainment? And I guess the things I find, I will bring back. But, like so far, like the expression of a squeeze that we see is games, because that's what we cover here. And gosh, oh golly, they were putting the hurt on the Chinese video game industry.
Honestly, I feel like it might be a little simpler than that. I know that, I don't want to oversimplify the entire, like, Chinese game industry, but one things that I do know, based on what we've covered on the show and things that I've looked into, is that Tencent and NetEase both have their hands in a lot of pots, both, like, domestically and internationally. And maybe less so NetEase, but Tencent has definitely been trying to, like, coordinate international entities in, like, participating in the Chinese market. That, especially the way that, like, video games have the ability to have its own, like, insular, like, cultural questions that are challenged, is a thing that maybe the Chinese government or the CCP may not be interested in as a whole. And so by gimping Tencent and by reducing, I guess, like, the access that, like, some of the prime demographics for video games would be, which would be, like, game-playing child populations,
right?
Which would reduce the attractiveness of it to international investors, would be another measure of protecting what they expect to be Chinese culture. But, that's still just a theory. Probably have to dig more into it to try to line it up with, like, actual policy. But,
I'm definitely going to follow this with eager, close attention. And one of the reasons I will do so is that Chinese game development has gotten really, really interesting to me in the last few years. It's been wild to, like, watch really interesting video games come from China. Like, one of the things that we talked about at E3 was how, when the show closed, that there was, like, one of the last presentations was from this, like, tiny Chinese publisher. It's like, hi, we publish video games. And it was such a surprise to, like, see a publisher which, like, felt, like, big enough to, like, have, like, a strong catalog to show. Like, they sure as fuck weren't, like, trying to let us know about how you could play Bomb Squad at the mini golf course this Saturday. Like, it just... Shout out to Tommy Tallarico, currently showing off Bomb Squad at the fucking mini golf course today. Actual thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so between, like, that, like, fully formed publisher who had, like, an exciting catalog of games to show, to Lost Soul Aside, like, there is an entire class of people out there who, like, eagerly wait for any new footage of Lost Soul Aside, and are just like, Lost Soul Aside, when? And, like, Sony started, like, pumping money into the territory in order to, like, help fund, like, young, enthusiastic, eager devs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, as a byproduct of the period of relaxed interest from the government, there was a expanded period of Chinese game development.
For sure.
And, like, it's interesting from a business perspective because of the way this shit impacts these, like, giant companies which are operating with, like, the same kind of, like, level of industry impact that we, like, talk about, like, Activision having. Like, Tencent swings an awfully big stick. NetEase swings an awfully big stick. But in addition to the Tencents and the NetEases, there are also Chinese indie devs. And those folks are getting impacted in, like, very real ways as well.
Right.
How are they going to get their games approved? How are they going to get their games distributed? So, I'm curious. I don't want to see that, like, that development space in that industry disappear. So, I'll keep watching.
That would be really weird to live in a world where, like, there are no video games in China.
Yeah, and that world has existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see it exist again. Rocky, you've got other stuff you want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, there are video games, but, mostly in America. Sony, I guess mostly Japan, actually, technically. Fuck.
Are we talking about Sony as a video game company? You could say mostly in America.
Okay, cool. Got him.
Shoutouts to Jim Ryan.
They did a presentation. They call it the Sony Playstation Showcase, based off of a cursory amount of research. It's not a state of play, because state of play is focused more on like in-depth gameplay demonstrations, while this is much more a series of sizzle reels. There was some gameplay, but not for this first game. But there was an announcement that LucasArts is making remaking Knights of the Old Republic, which, you know, got a big pop at the beginning of the show. I am deeply worried about it, actually. Brian, you got any connection to KOTOR?
Not really. I mean, like this is not a thing where I'm not gonna sit here and get like super wrapped up in it and talk about my personal emotional relationship with it. But like the thing that I found interesting about this was like who's actually responsible for this remake.
Right.
It is a dev house which has been responsible for a bunch of remasters and remakes. Mm-hmm. Asper Media, and like because there is functionally at this point, like all LucasArts is now is like a branding tool. Like there is not like effectively like a dev house somewhere called LucasArts. It just simply doesn't exist. Just like there isn't like a dev house called Disney Interactive anymore. Like it's a branding tool. And so like the company that Disney has engaged to remake this is not one of the existing companies that they have like made a deal with in the past. Like they didn't go to EA to do this. Like even though EA owns BioWare, which like developed the game in the first place, or they didn't go to any other like major third party dev that they have a deal with. They went with the Embracer Group, which owns Asper. And that's the part that feels like a big deal. We've talked in the past about how the Embracer Group is like keeps on like absorbing like various smaller publishers and various like smaller B tier publishers, and like they just kept on like rolling up like they acquired Koch Media, they acquired THQ Nordic, and acquiring THQ Nordic and acquiring Koch Media like effectively made them like already pretty big, because those were like two like what I would call like B level publishers. But like they also got stuff like Coffee Stain and Gearbox and Saber Interactive, and quietly, because they bought all of these together, they became as big as like a major AAA. They just didn't like bother to like rebrand the individual entities now operating under their umbrella as all being like Embracer Group. Like Koch Media is still like forward facing, just Koch Media. THQ Nordic is still operating as THQ Nordic, and it's not operating as Embracer Media. But like that, like Embracer is swinging a big enough dick that they can do Disney business. That's my takeaway. I guess it's less about like, oh, look at the little teaser. It looks so neat teaser. And more about like, ooh, man, Embracer. They have a seat at the fucking table now.
Yeah. I just don't trust Disney's involvement in video games at all, ever. And in this particular case, because Disney Interactive isn't a thing, they don't actually make anything,
right.
But they are very good about bitching about things so that very little work actually gets done. And so I don't have high hopes for this remake. I think that Disney's like whoever Disney sends to yell at Asher while they're making this is going to fuck the whole thing up. And it bums me out, man.
That's all fair. Allow me to bless you with rare Brian optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, just sometimes, Disney is blessedly hands off.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that time that Way Forward went to Disney and said, we want to remake DuckTales for the NES from the ground up. And we want to go and we want to run down all of the original voice cast for DuckTales and put it out for all modern consoles. And Disney got out of the way, and we got a beautiful way forward remake of DuckTales.
Actually, I gotta be honest with you, Brian. I don't remember that at all. I hope it's real. That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened. It was fucking great. Like, okay. Do you have a web browser in front of you?
I do have a web browser in front of me.
Type DuckTales Remastered.
Okay. DuckTales Remastered. It was a video game. It's $15. It came out in 2013. All right. Does look like a way forward game. So
it sure does. And more recently, Disney has allowed Digital Eclipse to do like collections. Like what Digital Eclipse does is like collections which are focused on historical preservation, which includes stuff like design documents and like if you want to know about like the what's up?
Sorry, no, I decided to click on the Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game description, and it's not encouraging. But go ahead, continue.
What Digital Eclipse primarily does is collections focused on historical preservation.
Sure.
Like, and they have received like large amounts of praise for things like the Mega Man Legacy Collection and the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection and the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Disney did was get out of the way and let Digital Eclipse do these like absolutely historical focused collections, which are the Disney Afternoon Collection.
Right.
And the Aladdin and Lion King set. And both of them are like lavish and include like all kinds of like historical artifacts and stuff. So like Disney sometimes gets out of the way and just lets a good thing happen.
Sure.
So I guess the thing I want, Rocky, is I want this to be the Disney that gets out of the way versus the Disney that gets in the way. There are definitely two Disneys. Like, inside of each Disney, there are two wolves. I know which wolf I want to come here. I know that, like, KOTOR is spoken of so highly by people who love old, complicated BioWare games.
Sure.
And I am on paper a fan. Like, the stuff that BioWare was doing before KOTOR, I'm a fan of. And, like, in the last year, I fucked with Jade Empire, and I was like, wow, what a great video game. You know, like I had heard people praise it endlessly for years, and like when I was playing on my original Xbox, Jade Empire was not a thing that I had time for. And so like when I got my backbone for my iPhone, I could play Jade Empire comfortably on a controller curled up in bed, and I did. And I was like, this game is great. Like everything people told me about like, you know, like the complexity of the decisions and like how rich the RPG experience is exactly true. And one thing I've always heard said is that like, as far as like the things that make them good, Jade Empire and KOTOR go hand in hand. And so naturally the idea of like a big visual lavish treatment of this sounds interesting to me. But a thing that I would worry about, Rocky, is that like since then, a lot of like the things that people think of as BioWare have become a lot more streamlined and a lot more polished and a lot less complicated. And I can't help but wonder if one of the things that Asper will do in an effort to air quote modernize this, since they're remaking it and not simply remastering it, since they're remaking it, is what they're going to do is emulate more modern BioWare game structure. Are they going to try and Mass Effect this?
Yeah, they probably will, honestly.
Yeah.
Or like Dragon Age Inquisition, which is
yes,
its own foxhole.
Yeah, and so like, and that feels less of like a Disney problem and more the fact that like again, video games exist as their own self-contained cultural space. But we'll see. I will sit here with my fingers crossed like some kind of asshole.
Yeah. Speaking of some kind of asshole, Project Eve, I got really excited because I thought it was going to be like a Bayonetta-like. Doesn't really look that way, but it does look good. I hope it is, honestly.
It's weird. Like, I watched this. I kept on wanting to like this trailer.
Yeah.
Am I feeling you agreeing with that sentiment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I watched it, and I could definitely see in like the presentation that like there was a very specific vibe that I think that they thought that they got that they didn't. And I think that like Bayonetta is a good pull.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that another good relevant pull would be Nier Automata, as far as like the way that they're representing just like ruins of a society and such.
Right.
And I'm like, this is a video game that very much feels like you walk into a room and you start making out with somebody and you're like, I'm just going to call you Platinum. And then they're like, but my name's not Platinum. Today your name is Platinum. And I'm like...
It's like very much like, we've got Nier Automata at home, the Nier Automata at home, and it's just Project Eve.
Yeah. And maybe it's because like Bayonetta and Nier Automata are these absolutely amazing, exciting fucking worlds. Like, there's such like fully realized spaces, and that 2B and Bayonetta themselves are such like amazing and memorable protagonists. Like, when I think about like they're definitely trying to steal more from Bayonetta than Nier Automata with the protagonist.
Right.
And I'm like Bayonetta is an amazing character, and like every character in the Bayonetta games is so fucking cool. And I think about like every combat experience and every like set piece moment in Bayonetta. Like, there is literally a moment in Bayonetta 2 where a boss is throwing an endless supply of churches at you. He's just picking up whole churches and just throwing churches at you. His projectile is churches.
Like, the big thing that disappoints me about Project Eve is that, unlike Nier or Bayonetta, it is very firmly defined. Like, the cooler things about Bayonetta aren't really like just like the action or like, like the moment to moment gameplay, but like the way that like the experience resists definition.
Yes.
You look at stuff that's happening in Bayonetta, and it's very much like, what the fuck? And you can read the lore or whatever, and there will be words there that fit together into sentences, but they don't make sense, really. Right. And like, I look at Project Eve, and it looks like someone who had seen those other two games and decided to make something that made a little more sense and completely missed the point.
Yeah, like, there is this, like, just absolutely amazing bullshit, like...
Yeah.
Like, Bayonetta is just like, hey, I hope you came to have a good time, because that's what we have on offer. Like, we have bullshit, and we have a good time. There's just going to be, every moment in Bayonetta 2 resists explanation. Every moment in Bayonetta resists explanation. They're just like... Just like these, like, I'm just thinking about like just the opening of Bayonetta 2 is like Bayonetta is out shopping, right?
Yeah.
She's out shopping with Jean, and like these fucking monsters just like attack, and then the game is just like, you know what? We're gonna spend like a good 2-3 minutes on fucking Enzo, just like struggling to balance all of Bayonetta's shopping. Right. Like, he's like, ah! And he's got like hat boxes and new fancy shoe boxes, and like Bayonetta's like, don't drop the shopping, darling. And you're just like, look, this is a video game. This is what's happening now. Like, excessive close-ups of this guy trying not to drop hat boxes.
Right, yeah.
And the voice actor is just doing this like weird Joe Pesci imitation. Yeah, he's like, he's like, oh, what the fuck? And so you've got like Joe Pesci holding a bunch of like fucking like Macy's bags while like these witches are fighting a giant centaur angel which has a face on its ass.
Yep.
What the fuck? I love that. And like, I love when video games are just like, all right, whatever. Just fucking whatever.
Yeah, just do it. Let's go.
that was the thing that was really missing for me from this. And
Yeah.
the thing is I could see them going for it. That they're just like, see how wild we are. I'm like, I'm sorry, game. If you're trying to tell me see how wild you are, I'm not there. There was a game that we discussed during, I guess, the run to E3. I think it's called Craftopia or Craft World or something like that.
Oh, do you mean the one with like Pokemon with guns or whatever?
Yeah, like where the Pokemon were like weird sweatshops.
Yeah.
And like as I've had more and more time to think about it, I might have softened on that game.
I knew it.
Because like the game just like, to quote Family Guy, it insists upon itself.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, it's just like we're gonna be weird. Fuck you. You're either along for the ride. It's very much like get in, losers. We're putting Pokemon in sweatshops, and like Bayonetta just doesn't fucking care. And Project Eve, like what they've shown so far, just feels like it's pretending to be that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just not convinced. Like, okay, you can put this person in this skin tight outfit. But like, I think that you are underestimating or miscalculating the way players emotionally resonate with Bayonetta. Like,
right.
People like Bayonetta for a great many more reasons other than they're like, she's a pretty lady and I like her butt. Like like there is a reason that she connects with audiences, and it has a lot more to do than with like a butt. So this is them missing the boat.
I do want to make clear for any prospective AAA devs that are listening to this, the butts are important. I would like for them to stay there, but they are not the point. I feel like I need to make that clear.
I'm going to let Rocky own most of that butt point.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm the one that said it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there were also some stingers. Good stingers, you know. There's a new Wolverine game, but it's coming from Insomniac. And, you know, in this house, we appreciate Insomniac. We would like them to bring us more video games if that's cool. And this time they're taking on Wolverine, and it looks cool. At least so far, you know, I haven't, like, committed to buying it or anything. But, you know, for a Wolverine property that doesn't include Hugh Jackman, like, seems dope.
I have two thoughts on the Wolverine thing.
Sure.
Number one, they did not show me enough of the Wolverine thing to make me care about this as far as it being a Wolverine video game. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, like, my level of Marvel fatigue is like near fucking epic. Like, I am so exhausted by Marvel things now.
I feel like that's a little unfair.
What?
Like, I mean, I'm not underestimating Marvel fatigue, but I feel like that has very little to do with the X-Men. Like, very little to do with the X-Men. But I understand your point. Like, I
could probably broaden it to calling it superhero fatigue.
Okay, that's fair.
But the counterpoint to that is that Insomniac has made a point of philosophically shifting to being a dev house that does not crunch, period.
True enough.
Where crunch is not allowed.
They decided.
I could give a shit about Wolverine, but if you want to, like, it's like, hey, the Ratchet and Clank people are making a new video game? I'll pay attention to that because I really liked Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. So we'll see. Like, angry old man with knives in his knuckles, whatever. Insomniac, the people who don't crunch and made a good video game this year, making a new game, I'll pay attention.
For sure.
I could care less about the license, but I'm excited about who's making it.
We also got a teaser for Spider-Man 2. We're going to be able to interact with both Peter Parkour and Miles Kilometres. So I'm looking forward to fanboys screaming about how this is actually the best video game of all time. And, you know, we'll see how that goes.
It's so weird that they're continuing to offer these themed Underroo DLCs for Sunset Overdrive, but
oh man,
that, you know, it's wild because like these are both Insomniac games.
Yes,
and when Sony bought Insomniac, when they got out their checkbook and they're like, fuck, like Microsoft is buying these studios left and right, shit, and they bought Insomniac. There were so many people who were like, finally some fucking food. Thinking that what that meant was that we were going to get Sunset Overdrive 2. Friends, I have some news. That'll probably never happen. I'm now going to go on record as saying Beyond Good and Evil 2 will come out before Sunset Overdrive 2.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Sony has got too many giant biz dev deals to complete. Like, oh, we just did this here Disney business. Thanks, Disney. Hey, Insomniac. I know that there's these nerds on the internet who are screaming for another one of your, like, fun parkour games where you shoot the goop from Nickelodeon at things. But no, please make Spidered Man Part 2, the one where two Spidered Mans point at each other. And that's fine. That's fine. But, I would eventually like to see them make Sunset Overdrive 2. Like, literally one of the things Sony bragged about when they completed the fucking acquisition. When they bought Insomniac, Sony made a point of being like, we own Sunset Overdrive now, baby. Like, they made a point of mentioning that.
Brian, just tell me how you really feel, man. Like, come on.
All I'm saying is when am I going to get another Eternal Darkness?
Oh my god! Oh god! No, you're probably not getting another Eternal Darkness. There will be a spiritual successor that comes out 3 years from now. The fans will be super excited. No one else will know what it is. It'll do fine on Steam for about a week, and the devs will retreat into relative obscurity. So, look forward to that, I guess.
Yeah. Will Dennis Dyack be involved?
I think they'll tease it, but they'll back out at the last moment, actually.
Why would they tease that? That would be a bad idea.
That's part of why they only do okay.
Okay.
We've already heard a little bit of how Brian feels about this next game, but God of War Ragnarok was presented to the public. The Dad of War is back. They're
Rocky, I am a father.
I mean, that's cool, dude.
I'm a father, and I do father things.
I mean, he does. He really do be dad, though. But we're going to cover the events of Ragnarok. There is a black woman, Jotun, that's been introduced into the game. Please pray for her. According to, Ragnarok itself, she shouldn't die or anything. But once again, she's a black woman in a video game, so I'm worried about her, so I hope that goes okay.
I was very excited that Twitter let me know again that black people and fat people shouldn't exist.
Bro, no, but hold on. Have you seen the dudes who are like, Thor doesn't look like that? Thor has, an 8-pack and, 38-inch biceps. And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Thor wields a great axe and he swings it over his head like, bro, it's millionaire. Relax. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm getting heated about the internet people. I don't like talking about internet people. They don't matter. Internet is barely real. But
Rocky, I wish I lived in a world where I didn't feel like we had a responsibility to talk about these people.
A responsibility? That seems like a lot. They're noise. Mostly noise.
Rocky, with many video games comes many video games people.
I mean, that's fine. And, we amplify the voices that people should listen to and ignore the rest. I feel that's my personal position. I see these dudes who yell about 8-pack Thor, and I'm like, that's dumb. If I'm speaking on a podcast and people listen to me, I feel like that's the part that should matter, because what they're going to end up doing is they're like, man, these guys probably aren't that dumb. And they'll go look and it's like, oh shit, they are dumb. Huh,
so
that's crazy.
The worst take I saw, because of course there had to be a worse take.
Sure.
Was they're like, Thor should have an 8-pack. He shouldn't look like a guy who COVID would make sick.
That's big wild. Holy shit.
And I know that the Republicans cling to this idea that if you die of COVID, it's your fault, because that's been part of their whole talking point for the last 18 months. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to climb through my fucking monitor. I just wanted to climb through my computer screen and be like, I can't even begin to tell you how many different ways you're the stupidest motherfucker ever born. Just Thor shouldn't look like a guy who COVID would make sick. Fuck you. Just fuck.
It's terrible. As a palate cleanser, I'm going to bring an actual great take for Thor's new design. Whereas, if I saw that guy in the street, I would be terrified. Why is he covering everything except for his vital organs? What does he know that I don't? Look at fucking
Yeah.
Thor. He really should just go down if I do anything, but he has no fear in his heart. None. He's about to fuck your shit up, dog.
One thing I did enjoy was all this talk of Thor's appearance actually prompted a lot of conversation online about what men who actually win strongman competitions look like.
Oh yeah, that's a fun conversation.
You know, and people were like, okay, like, have you actually seen strongest dudes? Do you actually know what fucking strongest dudes look like?
Yeah, that's why they lose in like ratings to like the quote bodybuilder competitions on like cable and shit.
Yeah, like, cause like you're, oh god, because like strongmen, like you're like, here's this guy, and it'll be like some guy who has an incredible amount of muscle mass, and that muscle mass exists under fucking fat, and then people are like, oh, look at that guy. And it's like, yeah, that guy just lifted 18 Cadillacs at one time,
That guy's
and he's bored.
Like,
you know, like,
today? Like,
you know, like the number of people I saw like sharing pictures of like fucking Mark Henry, you know, like, it was like, yeah, look at fucking Mark Henry, like deadlifting like 1,000 pounds, you stupid assholes. Just, you know, like, it just like, oh, look at Thor. They're like, I'm so sorry he doesn't look like dehydrated fucking Chris Hemsworth. You assholes. Like, you stupid assholes.
yeah, they suck. Always. Without exception, actually. Jesus.
Like, it's like these people who think that what somebody looks like who's worth a damn, it looks like a fucking UFC fighter trying to cut water weight before weigh-in day. Like, and it's like, you don't, like, how do you not realize, like, Chris Hemsworth looks like he's about to pass out because there's not a fucking ounce of water in his entire body?
Well,
like,
I mean, to be fair, Fast and Furious movies will do that to you.
God.
Also, shout outs to Vin Diesel hanging on his yacht, and fuck the people who are talking shit on Vin Diesel while yachtless. Eat a dick.
Fucking exactly. You're like, oh, like, Vin Diesel will have a lot of time to think about your tears on his fucking yacht, you know? Like, just...
Yeah.
God. Ugh.
Yeah, dude, fuck them, man. Some bad news for some people who've been looking forward to this. GTA 5 for the new generation consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X, have been delayed to March 2022. So, you know, just hang out till spring.
Are there any other ways for folks to play those games in the meantime, Rocky?
Pretty sure there's a 3DS port on the way just before they shut down the servers, but who knows? I'm kidding. Yeah, you can play it on PC or like literally anywhere else.
Except for Switch.
Oh yeah, you can't play it on Switch. We're developing the technology or whatever.
Yeah, like talk about like one of the great all-time fuck yous. Like there are the jokes about how like Skyrim is on everything, and for the most part, Skyrim is on everything.
Right.
But like, fucking Rockstar, man, they have been like, you know what? Like, we're not gonna. And I think people underestimate just how much these GTA games are absolutely super duper live services game. Like, like Grand Theft Auto 5 will never be on Switch. Not because the Switch couldn't run a version of Grand Theft Auto 5. Of course it could, because Grand Theft Auto 5 originally came out for the fucking Xbox 360 and the PS3. So, like, it could definitely run on a fucking Switch. But the problem is that GTA Online is a fucking live services game. And at this point, like, either they've already shuttered the support for the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions of GTA Online, or they've announced that it's coming very, very soon. And, like, what's the point of dumping all that effort into porting GTA 5 to Switch if you can't sell shitheads shark cards forever?
Yeah.
God, I hate video games.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I haven't checked in on Brian on this particular series in a while. But if you are waiting till March 2022 to get to GTA 5 on your new PS5 or Xbox Series X, on your PS5, you will be able to play Gran Turismo 7 around the same time. So you can look forward to that with a GTA. You can drive your car while you're driving your car.
That's cool. And I bet the folks who are into that are into it.
Okay.
I am not angry at this video game.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. I'm currently excited for a car video game about cars, which is a weird feeling because it's been a long time since I've had that in my life.
Shit, hold on. Did I forget to buy Buck Up and Drive? Brian, when did Buck Up and Drive come out?
I want to say like a month ago.
It's finally available. I was like, it came out 21 days ago? Fuck me. I haven't played this yet.
Yeah.
I've been playing this for 3 weeks? Whatever.
There you go.
Buck Up and Drive is cool, though. What driving game are you talking about?
I just cannot wait to get my hooks into Forza Horizon 5.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's going to change video games forever.
There was a reason why coming out of E3, so many people were like jaws on the floor looking at that thing like, Jesus Christ, just look at this. It's so rare to like see because we're experiencing like the different kinds of ways that games leap forward now. It's weird to just like look at a game at E3 and be like, oh, this actually looks like this is delivering on the promise of like a air quote next gen. Like this is a next gen video game. Like Call of Duty 4 did that, where it felt like a leap forward, and like I just fucking can't wait to play this goddamn car game where I'm going to drive around Mexico. Like let me drive in video game Mexico. I looked at, I looked at fucking Gran Turismo 7, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like I'm not sitting here like writing Brian plus Gran Turismo 7 in like the margins of my notebook.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think the next video game you're going to talk about, I am going to write Brian plus it in the margins of my notebook.
Tell me your feels on Chio, dude.
Oh, neat. Oh, this was easily the thing in this whole presentation that I was the most excited about by a long damn sight.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. It seemed to combine lots of ideas from some recent video games and some not so recent video games that I like. The idea of an island adventure focusing on animals was something that was recently done well in Alba, a wildlife adventure, where you're like a young girl on like a small island off the coast of Spain, right? And so that was also a game that was like deeply invested in the game being like a representative depiction of island culture. And this video game, like in the way that it was portrayed in the trailer, was also like, okay, like a priority for this game is that this game is, about New Caledonia, right? Like, this is a game about the island experience. And then this is a game about how this like child emotionally resonates and connects with like the island community and the animals around her. One of my favorite things in the trailer comes at the very end when like the kid leans down to pet the crab. In this world, we have transited beyond can you pet the dog to now can you pet the crab.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. And there is an emotional sensibility that is conveyed by the sailing that happens in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, where there's like a childlike sense of wistfulness and exploration and like the romance that we all have with the world at large by sailing. Like the sailing in Wind Waker represents the potential of our lives. Like, and I hope I don't sound like I'm completely at my own ass here. And it's, getting back to a drum that I was banging earlier, it's about like what the bigger ideas that you can communicate in a video game when you make the smaller things simple, because then there's room for other ideas inside of something.
Sure.
And, like in this trailer, they were certainly showing some sailing around on a raft with a sail. And I was like, oh my God, that looks like I got the tingles. And then the fucking ukulele. Rakia got the tingles again. And then taking a gameplay conceit that was used to great effect in Super Mario Odyssey, like the idea of like, you know, possession or internal cohabitation with like various things. We're like, hey, I threw my hat at a Goomba, and so now I'm a Goomba.
Right.
Is something else like mechanically that is demonstrated in this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything this game showed me just looks like the most exciting and reward. Like I cannot wait to dump untold amounts of hours into this fucking video game. Like it was by far for me the most exciting thing that got shown at this presentation.
All right, that's cool.
I was like, I'm in love with this. This is fantastic. Now, not to say that there wasn't like a number 2 with a bullet too. There was something else I was very, very excited for, but this was my number 1.
Sure. Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought she was cool. I didn't really get big Wind Waker vibes from it, but I did see a lot of Alba in it. The possession mechanic, I actually didn't think of Super Mario Odyssey immediately, because what I was thinking of is this long story about a friend of mine who played D&D with a pretty intense group for their first experience, and the DM like demanded that they be the bird. And so like when I saw her dive into the bird, I remember his rendition is like, be the bird, and it's like, oh shit, I'm the bird, I'm flying around now, and that's cool. But like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of that. I would like to be a sea turtle. That seems like fun. I want to know more about like this music gameplay interaction with the ukulele, but I'm not writing home about it right now. But it seems cool. I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah, it seems neat.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna downplay you, dude. Like, you're super excited. That's cool. I'm just not quite there.
Oh no, dude! I was not getting the impression that you're downplaying me at all.
Okay.
Yeah, that is not a thing I am trying to convey.
Well, what I am downplaying are these Uncharted remasters. I want to spend very little time on them. They're remastering Uncharted for the PS5 game, so if you just want to play more Uncharted, it's on the way. Maybe they'll bundle it with the movie, but who knows? And
I could give a crap about Uncharted PS5 remasters.
Yeah.
But they were like, okay, so Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy are coming to PS5. And I'm like, that seems fine. And they're like, oh, and by the way, Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy are also coming to PC.
Okay.
At which point I then was like whatever that meme is of that fucking Muppet who's like looking and then looking back. And I'm like, oh, so what you're telling me is that I could now play Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is a game I very much enjoyed, while curled up in bed.
Oh, yeah, because of the GPD win.
Right, yeah. And so, like uh-oh. Like, now they got me.
Got him.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was most interested in was Forspoken. I've been interested in Forspoken. I didn't know that much about it, but of the expansiveness of the world and the movement of the character seemed interesting enough for me to pay attention. So this time we got a character trailer who is a young woman in a modern... Oh, God. Is it actually Washington, D.C.? Or is it... What city is she in? I can't remember. Well, she's in a modern American city, and then she ends up going through a portal that transports her to a overgrown, abandoned, like formerly civilized world. And then you have like the Forspoken stuff on top of it. It looks sick. I'm very excited for Forspoken. Not enough to buy a PS5, but my neighbor has a PS5, so I'll just buy it for him and just play it 60 hours or whatever. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
So I had said that I had a clear number 2 in Sony's presentation. And that clear number 2 for me was definitely Forspoken. One of the things that got done in this trailer was absolutely clearly articulating the feel and the character of the protagonist. Like we finally got...
We now know who Frey is.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like we know what this character feels like. We know what Frey is. Because like before this, like the last trailer we had was the "That's a fucking dragon" trailer.
Yeah.
And like that was fine, and like, you know, "That's a fucking dragon" was okay, but like it didn't really let us know much about the character who was saying "That's a fucking dragon." And giving Frey an object in her possession that she can talk to, which is sentient, is really, really smart.
Yeah.
Because, like, so often in, like, third-person character action games, characters will, like, self-narrate their adventures in these, like, really... Or, I'm sorry, modern third-person character adventure games. Characters will, like, narrate their adventure in, like, this way which seems really, really goofy because they're trying to bridge the gap on, like, things that gameplay should have explained. Like, you'll get, like, Lara Croft saying things like, oh, I wonder if I could find a pole or a rod to use to form a fulcrum. And you're like, oh, God. Like, who are you? Like, what? You know, that's not how most brains work. And, like, there's constant characters, like, self-narrating, like, oh, why did I punch my brother back there? Oh, I love my brother. And it's like, why are you having this externalized dialogue about punching your brother in the last scene, you know? But by giving Frey, like, this bracelet that is alive and aware, it means that she has an opportunity to, like, talk aloud and direct the talking to something. It makes it make sense, you know? And so, like, as a result, like, the dialogue that we were hearing in the this character trailer felt a lot more organic. Felt a lot better than this stuff usually does. And I really liked the look of the world. Mm-hmm. And so much of the movement stuff reminded me of Infamous.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And, like, the way you're saying it makes it sound like a bad thing. But for me, like, moving around like Infamous or Saints Row is inviting. It's like, ooh, like, I enjoy moving in Infamous. Like, moving in Infamous is fun. You know, like, combat in Infamous is fun. And so, like, this, like, weird New York / fantasy world, Infamous land, seems totally cool. I'm really down for this. Like, it seems plucky. I like it. It's got real character to it, and like I'm glad to see more games coming out. It really does feel like we're starting to see a library of games develop that justify this console that people are spending $1,000 for on the aftermarket. I don't think we're at the point where like those aftermarket prices are necessarily justified, but at least there are PlayStation 5 games now.
What is actually a little funny is I misspoke earlier. It's not just a PS5 exclusive. It's going to simultaneously release on PC. But if you're paying those aftermarket prices, it's basically the same cost of entry, which is really funny to me personally.
Right. So, like, Rocky, I guess you could just buy this for PC. There you go.
No, I am actually going to just buy it for PC.
Yeah, so you now no longer have to talk to your neighbor.
No, I love my neighbor. He's one of my best friends.
Well, so I guess you could talk to your neighbor about different stuff then.
Yeah.
I thought this really looked cool. Movement looks cool. Characters seem neat. I wonder when we'll see more Janina Gavankar so that way Rocky can be directly targeted by this video game.
She's not showing up. She don't do video games anymore. It's fine. She's retired.
Oh, no. Janina Gavankar is in Forspoken.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Fuck. Sorry, I turned my brain off for a second. I was already thinking about Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, like she's the main baddie in this video game. She's the lead villain.
Yeah.
So you get Janina Gavankar who will step on your neck.
Yeah, she will.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Man. So yeah, let's Ghostwire Tokyo.
The Lamentations of Ghostwire Tokyo.
There was I talked a little bit about this, I guess, in chat this week. Ghostwire Tokyo started out as a video game directed by Ikumi Nakamura. Mm-hmm. That was the genesis of this game. Shinji Mikami handing over the keys to Ikumi. This was going to be her big directorial debut. Big moves. And the stuff that we saw from Ghostwire Tokyo, those initial teasers 2 years ago, have such a pronounced different feeling and flavor than what we saw this week. I don't feel like it's too drastic to say that they feel like entirely different games.
They probably are different games at this point.
Yeah. And like I couldn't get into this at all. You know, like I'm like, this feels dull. This feels lifeless. I don't know. Like this. I mean, it could be that like at some point they'll communicate something about this video game that will like make it make sense to me or make it seem interesting to me, but they definitely haven't done that yet.
Sure.
And I know that they're like, oh well, it's not coming out until like Q1 next year. They have plenty of time to tell us about it.
Then we have like 4 games that were announced Q1 next year. Like they showed up. Like
yeah,
it's not an excuse for making it uninteresting.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, there's plenty of games which are coming out in Q1 of next year that have already like outlined a value proposition for themselves.
Right.
And I also think about like the length of time that Arcane spent on messaging what is Deathloop and why you want to play it. And like how
a lot about Deathloop though, like I feel like
right,
been getting over promoted, like Jesus Christ.
And like I just think about how like I can't fucking wait for Tuesday when my copy of Deathloop arrives, at which point I will play fucking Deathloop. Like, you know, like I am super stoked for Deathloop. They got my money. I am here, and I watch this, and I'm just like, it kind of looks like you chased off your director, and now we're getting like this like weird heated generic first person shooter thing where you use psychic powers.
Yeah, good
I don't know. Yeah.
Let them make their mistakes, man. That's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's a shame because, you know, Kumi deserves to be able to make the game that she was making, and maybe she will. But, like, you know, this game doesn't deserve your continued interest, dear listener. It's not worth the time. I promise. There are billions of other games just like it.
Okay. So it sounds like your and I's take on this was pretty damn similar.
Yeah. I didn't even decide it was worth a mention, so I didn't write it in.
Ugh, gross.
So, everyone, this has been our show. Tegan will be back next week. We promise. Until then, you can check in on our old stuff wherever you find podcasts. Once again, we are Impossible Coin. The music beginning and end of this podcast was produced by our friend Big Sach. You can find his stuff on soundcloud.com/BigSachNJ. His band will be dropping an EP soon. We will be shouting out that Bandcamp link whenever it's available. He was also on last week if you want to listen to that episode as well. Our logo is also a t-shirt. It was designed by Lauren Moran. You can find her on Twitter at Lauren Moran and consider donating to her Patreon. Because once again, she does cool shit. Like I don't just say that for jokes every week. Like her shit is actually really cool. And we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/ImpossibleCoin podcast. And there you should have a new episode, which is the history of failed handhelds led by our very own Brian Cartwright.
Yeah, talk about the microvision in it.
For sure. If you want to interact with us a bit more directly, we are also streaming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tegan is finishing up Skyward Sword, and I will finish Tales of Symphonia soon, so help me God. And I'll be playing Tales of Rise after that. It's at twitch.tv/ImpossibleCoin. And like that, we are also on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Brian's on Twitter. Tegan's on Tumblr. Brian may be putting out a newsletter soon. We just got to find out how that works. But if you want to find us, all of those are just Impossible Coin. There's no dashes or underscores or X's or anything weird like that. So if you just type in Impossible Coin, you'll find us on any of those social medias. And that's it for this week, I think. That's the show.
Yup. Happy trails.
Yeah, see you next